Hello, my name is Wade Nomura, and this is Rotary and Serving Our Community. One thing that Rotary does and does well, but could do better, is to try and engage the youth in our communities. And one of the ways we do that is through a program what is called Interact. Interact is a group of high school students that actually are mentored through and assisted in Rotary and looked over by Rotary itself. And with us today we have Maria Zamora. Welcome, Maria.
Welcome. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You are the Interact president?
Yes, I
currently.
am.
Great, great. Well, thank you for joining us. And we have Richard Campos, past president of Carpinteria Rotary.
Yes.
Well, thanks for joining us,
My
both
pleasure,
of you.
my pleasure.
We're going to start with you there, Maria. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I've been involved in Interact since my freshman year. Not only have I been involved in Interact, but I'm also a part of the Junior State of America,
Oh, wow.
JSA, and I am currently the president of that club as well. And this year I am co-president, co-drum major in my school's band. And I'm also involved in like community service. I take high classes, and this year I was on the varsity tennis team for the Carpinteria High School,
Wow.
for Carpinteria High School. And we recently, just yesterday, I came back from a tournament, TVL. So
Great, great. How'd you do there?
we got to the first round. We passed the first round.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah.
Well, sounds great. Sounds like you're fairly active in everything then.
Yeah.
Good for you. Richard, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a current resident of Ventura, and I'm a State Farm agent in Carpinteria.
Okay.
So that's what I do as a profession.
Okay. How about background, things like that?
I've been in the insurance industry for the last 26 years, so it's pretty much work and Rotary.
Now, I know for a fact, since we're talking Interact, give us a little history in your high school background. I know you're a ball player.
I actually played football at Santa Clara High School.
Right.
So it's kind of ironic to come back to Carpinteria and be so involved in the high school.
Good, good. And Rotary, how did you get involved with Rotary?
I was approached by a Rotarian, Tom Laguerre, who was actually a State Farm agent in another state. I thought that it would be a good fit, and he was right.
Oh, okay. So he was with State Farm before?
He was.
Never knew that.
Yes, and another. No, I think it was in Denver.
In Denver.
Yeah.
Correct. Park City.
Park City.
Park City, Utah.
Utah. I knew it was.
We'll give him a little
cold.
plug on that one.
Somewhere cold.
Good, good. Yeah, well, thank you. And how about you? What got you involved with Interact?
I remember it was my freshman year, and I was best friends with Anna Delgado, one of our Interact members, and she was talking to me about her sister. Her older sister was actually president of Interact when she was in high school. So she was saying, I really want to be involved in Interact. And I said, oh, I don't really know. I've never heard of this club on campus. And she just kind of went, and I said, okay, I'll go along too. And I just stayed ever since then.
Wow, good. You've been in there for 4 years now,
Yes.
correct? You started as a freshman. Mm-hmm. Wow. Now, did you ever have any idea you'd be the president of that?
No, I never thought. Last year when I became vice president, I just thought that was just incredible because I never knew I was going to be anything more than just a member in Interact.
And what size is the club? How many members do you
As
have?
of right now, I'm pretty sure we're around like 30 students.
Wow.
We fill a whole classroom. There's a couple of people on the floor because there's just not that many desks. So
Okay.
I think that's great, but
That is great.
not for the students that sit on the floor. But
Yeah, this is true, but boy, that's a good problem to have.
yeah.
That's great. Now, have you noticed, has the number gone up? Has it gone down?
I
Has it
feel
stayed
like-
pretty consistent?
I feel like it has gone up, and I feel the more active members has gotten up as well.
Good, very, very good. Now, do the members have kind of the same background as you? In other words, are they driven, I would say, with all those good things you do?
I believe so. They're, of course, different like activities on campus, but all revolve around the same goal of wanting to help the community.
Oh, good, very good. So, as you go through it, what is the schedule that you do for Interact? Is it once a month, once a week?
Once a week on Tuesdays during lunch.
Okay, during lunch. And you eat lunch, is it a working meeting then?
I don't eat lunch, but they do.
No time, I know. Sounds like you're busy. Okay, so 45 minutes, 40 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, about 25 minutes.
About 25
Yeah.
minutes?
Yeah, depends on the class.
Squeeze it tight then.
We do. It's
Wow.
pretty tight, yeah.
Yeah. Now, how about events, things like that? Do you do once a month, once a quarter events, programs?
Primarily what we try to do is depending on what we have on the calendar. In some cases, we are able to coordinate with a Rotary event. So we always try to show some support. But we've started some of our own activities as well too.
Okay. I'm going to ask you this first. What are some of the challenges you've had? I know you've been with this group for quite a while, Interact, and I know I've heard other challenges logistic-wise with schools, things like that.
I think primarily is just trying to keep the kids engaged. They're very active. They want to do something for the community, and it's just trying to fit it in, quite frankly, in their schedule. Many of them are like Maria, where they're doing many different activities, and it's just trying to be able to get a young adult into an environment where they can get to a place on time based on their schedule, which is important because I try to acclimate to that.
Right, right. Weekend events, do you plan on those very often or as few as possible?
Actually, we've had some luck based on Rotary. You know, we were part of we helped out with the Carpinteria Triathlon, which was on a Sunday. And we also helped out with the Avocado Festival, which was over a 3-day weekend.
That's right, yeah.
So weekends are primarily actually when we do a lot of our activities.
Okay, oh good,
Weekends,
good,
yeah.
okay. And that as far as school involvement, engagement there, since you're not on faculty, not on staff, how do you work around that? Do you have a specific staff that work with you?
Absolutely. In fact, I work with Christine Gilbert, who's an English teacher on campus. She's actually our Carpinteria teacher advisor.
Okay.
I check in with the high school. They know I'm coming every Tuesday. And I basically, I do get a visitor's pass, so I just don't walk in. But I work well with Christine, thankfully.
Okay, good, good. And she gives you full support than the school does. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the success you've had.
She does, yes. The
Good.
school's been very supportive.
Okay, good. And how about you? Interact. What are the challenges you've seen and faced as a president? Not to put you on the spot.
I think the biggest problem I think I've had, not only with Interact but also with JSA, is trying to distribute responsibilities within our cabinet members. So our vice president, secretary, and treasurer. I don't really know how to give them that more of a standing out, because I do realize that this is my last year here. So all three of them are juniors as well. So somebody's going to want that president spot. So I want to give them a fair chance of getting that, of showing out and saying, you know, when they're running, I should be president because of this. Okay. And I want to make it fair for them, and I want to still have the club thrive.
Now, were you giving guidance as far as something written, a job description or anything like that, or did you have to kind of just see how you fit into the system?
Last year, I remember we got a job description where
good.
it was kind of like, this is the president's responsibility and all of the other cabinet members' responsibility. So I've kind of been going off of that, but also just the changes I wanted to see in Interact and some of the things I wanted to implement.
Got it, got it. What are some of those?
So I've been, one of the biggest projects that I want to work on is a community service project, and that's going to be a letters to Santa to the Head Start in our community in Carpinteria. So, you know, picking a class and picking a handful of students and having them write letters to us and of their toys, because, you know, Head Start, it's low income.
Right.
So I wouldn't expect them to be really celebrating that. So I wanted to help them out in that way, and me believing that, you know, having a childhood shouldn't come with financial obstacles. Right. So that's one of the biggest projects that I want to work on.
Now, how are you funding that or financing that?
So we actually got a matching grant from the parent support group.
Nice.
So it's a $250 grant, matching grant. So for every dollar, they match that dollar. And we're going to be making a fundraiser with the Breast Cancer Research Resource Center, which is we're going to be trying to have a bake sale this Friday at our football game to get that money.
Well, that's great. Mm-hmm. Now, you realize there's probably money out there through Rotary too to help out with that one.
Yes, and I will be looking forward to trying to see if there's something that they can do to help out with that. We've been pretty fortunate in that respect over the years of trying to raise money and leave some behind.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea, and you're right about that too. I mean, it's every year is a continuum.
It is. That's
good. As far as your role, I know some of the Interact programs have made it or broken because of the advisors. Mm-hmm. Some of them get too involved, become over influential. I've had instances where I've been called outside in the district itself from some parents saying that, you know what, the advisors picking our leaders for us instead of giving it to them. How do you balance that?
Well, it's been a learning process. Initially, I felt it was me doing a lot more of the speaking, and as time went on, I've graduated in giving the kids more and more power, a little more influence, and let them handle it with my guidance, and I'm hoping that it comes across that way.
Good, good. As far as leadership development, do you have any curriculum programs like that, or you kind of just fit it within?
Well, I know that Rotary has in the past provided that, and I have always, and that's one of my goals, is trying to encourage the students possibly to attend Pearls, things of that nature, so that they can learn those things.
We have one coming up in Ventura County in a couple of months. So
You do.
maybe I'll shoot that out to you.
Yeah,
guys.
and I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Well, let's jump into some of the pictures because we appreciate that, and these look good. The first picture you have shows your group, and it looks like it's at your club.
It is. The ironic thing about this is what we try to do is once a year is I try to invite the kids during a spring break to come and have lunch with us so that the club can experience what I get to experience on a weekly level. In that particular photo, the nice thing is that's our entire, that is our current board. Okay. And we didn't know that at the time. That's a year ago.
Oh, is that right?
So
that's amazing.
yeah.
Next picture you have is, looks like a bicycle ride there. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah. Well, that's actually the Carpinteria Triathlon. We supported Rotary as well as a triathlon by handing out water to the bicyclists because they came storming by.
And Maria, how did you get people motivated? Do they just automatically sign up? Yeah.
It's a little bit of like engaging people, and most people, they kind of sign up. They say, I need community service. So especially in the beginning of the year, there's freshmen, sophomores that say, you know, I need community service. So they sign up, and I always, and this was on a Sunday, so I really thank them for that because I understand that Sundays are a very hard day. I know personally me, I have to go to church. So for them, it was, I was really grateful for them to signing up.
That's great. And then you have another picture there. It looks like the same event happening there. How many did you have out there, interactors?
I want to say 12.
Yeah, this year we had a pretty good.
Yeah.
We broke up
Pretty
in
good
different
turnout
groups.
then.
We did.
30,
yes.
you had almost half.
Yeah,
the
we
numbers
did.
out there.
Yeah, it was
Very good. Did you have to train them, or was it pretty easy? They just figured out throw water at everybody.
Actually, it's a training involved.
I would guess that.
They come by very quickly.
They do very quickly,
Yeah.
especially the lead group. Next picture shows beach cleanup. Your team right there. There's 4 of you.
Yes, that was actually an example of an idea a student had. It was during Earth Day, and as you can see, sometimes we don't always get. We had 4 students show up. Okay. I always suggest that if we can get 2, then it's an event.
Right. Well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and name off those 4 since we'll get them to watch the show now. Your name's going to be mentioned.
Yeah. Maria, I'll
So
let you.
the one on the left is Liliana. Then the one next to her is Michaela. The one next to her is Sarah. She's actually our treasurer this year.
Okay.
And then next to her is Amanda.
Great. Okay, thank you. I'm sure they'll appreciate that. Then the next picture is one actually doing the work itself.
Doing the actual work.
And how much of the beach did you guys have to clean up?
Actually, on that particular day, we did a whole. We took a side and finished it all the way till we couldn't walk anymore.
Wow.
So it was a fun day.
That's a lot of work, though. And when was this? Was it summertime?
This was
fall?
actually in April of last year.
April.
Yes.
Okay, getting ready for the season then.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. And that's probably a good idea since the berm's all down. You got everything taken care of.
It was very easy to do. However, the beautiful part of Carpinteria is they do have clean beaches, so we just continue to keep it that way.
Very true. Okay, great. Next picture we have is the Christmas tree. And do you guys participate in that annually, or?
We have been through the Lions Club and through the Rotary Club, who we help set up and decorate the tree. So the Interact has been kind enough to come over the years and help us start decorating, and they do such a wonderful job.
Good, good. And that's the Lions Club one in Carpinteria, where they do 27 trees, I think, this year, right?
That's correct, yes. We have stuck to our tree. I've always actually hoped that we could do a fundraiser where we can help other individuals who couldn't decorate their own trees. But they seem to have a good group doing it. Great idea.
They do. Interact would be a perfect one for that.
It would be ideal,
Good match there. And those are all your Interact students there? Quite a
yes,
few of them.
yes,
Yeah,
those were.
you got a lot of them there.
We had a pretty good
No
turnout.
wonder you had a good tree.
Yeah, yes. We have a really good turnout. I'm
Great.
very fortunate. The club is very fortunate.
Good, good. And then the next picture shows you working at the desk. Now, tell us a little bit about that. What was that responsibility?
Yeah, actually, that particular one where we were behind the desk and we were setting up the actual packaging. Just as part of the decorations, we had to set up an assembly line.
Oh, okay, okay, to load it into the tree.
Exactly,
then.
yes.
Okay, got it, got it. Then the next picture we have actually shows, I believe this was Avocado Fest.
Yes.
And
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that picture.
Maria, I'll let you jump in.
Okay, this was actually last year. We were helping sell tickets to get them to buy the scooter. So, yeah.
Good.
And part of what we do with the Avocado Festival is we do try to once again just support not only a Rotary, but do it with a little different energy.
Yeah.
Since we have a pretty large group of high school kids, so it's been it's just been a great event, different atmosphere when the kids show up.
So that was your number one fundraiser then for the Avocado Fest?
That was,
specific.
yes.
Okay, so you raffled off the scooter. Any of the proceeds go towards the Interact?
Actually, it did. In fact,
okay.
that's how we were able to sustain our fund over the year. So it does help out.
Now tell us this, because a lot of the audience won't know this, but financial commitment wise, what would you guess that is for?
As far as Rotary?
Rotary and the club.
Yeah. As far as really depending on the budget, if we're trying to, in this particular case, we were trying to get T-shirts.
Okay.
So they would basically give us a couple $100, or depending on what they had available out of their general budget. So it does help.
Good, good. And that's just for general operating?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Now at the meetings, do you buy their food for them? Is that included? as
Actually, I usually take care of that myself.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Though I would get some support from the club if it's one of the things
if you need it.
if I need
It's
it.
very good of you there, Richard.
Yeah, it's my way of giving back.
I'm sure they appreciate it, and that shows up. Maria will tell you that. It definitely it shows up there. Okay. Next picture we have is a picture of, must be the whole club right there. There's a lot of you.
Yeah, that was last year's club.
Last year's club?
Yes.
Okay. And last year, about 30 still?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually, we started off with, my first year that I started helping out, we had about 12 students. And it just gradually got bigger and bigger. And it's, in fact, to the point now, as Maria said, that we had kids on the floor. What was kind of neat is when we got to the end of the year and we were having our goodbyes, it's just to still see a large group it's always
that would be good.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
But Maria's doing a good job of trying to keep them engaged and active. So
Well, leadership is the number one component of a successful club, so she's doing a great job.
she sure is.
Now, through this, you also sponsor, your club does, Ryla. Do most of them come from this group, or?
Actually, we've been fortunate enough to have not only the support of the Rotary Club, but we've also had the Morning Club, who's assisted with taking some of our students simply because there's so many.
Right.
But we have had most of our Ryla representatives come out of
this program.
at least since I've been there. Yes.
Okay. So how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing it now, I believe, since 2009.
Wow.
So it was right after I got into Rotary that.
Now you found your passion here in this?
Yeah, it just so happened I was asked,
Oh, no.
and I haven't stopped.
You got lucky, huh? You
I
got a
did,
good program there. Now, what are your aspirations? I would say now that you're president of Interact, are you planning on moving on into like Rotaract? Have you considered that?
Yes, I was actually thinking about that. I knew I've always wanted to do something with community service. Like I said, not only do I participate and interact in that community service, but also outside of community service, so in Santa Barbara County and just different organizations. And I was actually thinking about that, and my aspirations are to either attend the College of William and Mary or Tulane University in New Orleans.
Wow.
And the great thing about Tulane is that they actually they require community service. So I was thinking that was just really great. And I want to study like international relations and a concentration in South America.
Great, great. Well, Rotary will get you in that direction for sure. Now, What have you found as being successful in attracting new members to your club?
I just feel that Interact in itself is just attractive community service.
Right.
And I remember in our club rush, everyone was just like looking at clubs, and half of our clubs are sports, but
Right.
they gave us a packet and they were like, get people to like come to your booth and then like sign them up. And Interact was actually the club that got the most people to sign up. So
Wow.
we got to go to two packets. So I just think that in itself is just, it really attracts people. And, you know, like it says in the name, Interact, you interact with people.
Right.
So not only kids on campus, but, you know, in the community.
Right. Oh, good. Now, as far as your club's concerned, how many hours does each student have to have community service-wise to graduate?
60.
60. And do you include that? In other words, do you plan on having X amount of community service hours each year through your club? Or it just kind of works out that way?
It actually has worked out that way.
Okay.
Many of the students actually do a lot more community service on their own as well, so they're over it. But I've noticed this year an uptick of the requirement sheets coming in.
Okay.
So they're doing which indicates we're probably getting a younger students.
Which is good.
It is,
Yeah.
yes.
And it's a good way to do. Community service hours, is it something that you plan on this as president? Do you get to pick and choose where you're going to put those community service hours in, or do you just kind of wait for opportunities?
Oh, for like me personally with my community service?
For the club.
Oh, for the club.
For the club.
Not really too sure. I like, you know, mention it like when people ask me what's Interact and I say community service.
Right.
They never really ask me how many hours we do a year. So it just kind of whatever they feel like.
Opportunities are there then.
And that's pretty much what we try to do,
Okay.
bring up the opportunities, and especially if someone doesn't have any. As I pointed out, many of them already do, so it'll just be layered depending on if they need to fill a few hours here and there. And the school has requirements, so we have to stay with the guidelines with that as far as what those hours can actually be.
Right. Now, also on sports and athletics, I'm assuming that maybe half the club is athletes or athletes, and the other half are more specific to community service.
Yeah. That's our school.
Exactly.
Definitely is
Good
represented.
cross-section.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you do as far as sports-wise to catch up on time? Because I know it's either or. You can't do both because you're committed to a sport or you're committed to a community service. How do you balance it, or how do other people, your friends, balance that?
I've always kind of like, for me personally, I've been fortunate enough to have coaches that actually really understand when I have to go to an event and I say, last year I would say, I'm vice president. I'm kind of expected to be there, and I'm going to be there. And they'll be like, yeah, definitely I understand that student before athlete. That's why.
That's good. No, that is great. That is good. Very understanding. It goes with the school too, and with your advisors. That makes a big difference because it's a hard one. I've seen some of the other schools where it's either or. You don't get to do both. They just don't give you that choice. That is great. I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot. Tell us what you know about Rotary. Do you understand? Have you been involved or influenced in seeing what Rotary actually does?
Well, I've when Richard was talking about one of the pictures where we were at one of the lunches, I've actually gone to all three for all the time I've been here.
Okay.
So I'm fortunate or hoping that I will be able to go to the fourth one second semester. But Rotary, I feel it's just a club or like a group of adults, business owners mostly, and their mission is to help the community and help the other businesses as well. So.
Do you see that as something you'll be doing in the future?
Hopefully.
Okay. Good answer. As we move forward then, how do the two of you try and mentor in or find the next leaders and make sure that they're ready for that next step as you as president? Have you thought about that?
Not really, actually. Richard does a great job, looking at people, because I remember I actually went to RILA my sophomore year.
Okay.
So I was fortunate to go with the morning Rotary. So I remember after RILA, he told me, you should really consider running for a position. And I said, that was never on my mind. And I said, oh, no. And I was thinking, oh, I'll get like secretary or treasurer. And they're putting it on the board, like, who wants, like, secretary position, like, this person did it and all that stuff. And then I kind of missed treasurer and secretary, so I guess vice president will do.
Good.
So, yeah.
And how about you? Do you have an idea or a vision or a plan that, or it just happened?
As far as for
Getting your leadership development and ready to go.
I basically have them. I ask usually the students to consider it.
Okay.
I hand out a sheet what the responsibilities are, and I encourage all. Ryla has helped, so we've been very fortunate with that. And that's one of the reasons why I encourage them to apply even for that that event.
Good. That is one thing by the way, I have seen district-wide. Those Interact clubs that have failed because there was no continuum. In other words, they didn't have that leadership put in place. The idea of having it written out, huge difference. Because I have seen politics get involved if you don't have that in place, and unfortunately, it ruin any club. Yeah. How about you? How much longer do you figure you're going to be doing this for?
It's been I've been blessed to have the enthusiasm of the kids. So, I'll keep doing it as long as I can, as long as I feel that I'm contributing to the club. Like anything else,
Sure.
It could get stale. And if they feel that way, or if I feel that way, I want it to be about them and their vision.
Now, do you have anybody you're mentoring out from the club that's going to follow you?
I don't.
Or potentially?
I don't. In fact, last year when I was club president of the Rotary Club, I was still the advisor.
Doing
as
both.
well.
I do remember that.
So,
you're a busy guy.
And I wanted to. I
That's true.
didn't feel like
That's a big difference.
it was time to step down. But I'll reevaluate it this year. I'll ask Maria to get her opinion.
One thing great about having an Interact club is that you share that experience with the club, and that's one of the hard parts you do if you're a one-man show.
Absolutely.
And I could see others getting involved with it, just loving it because it's a great program.
It is.
Very
That's one of the benefits of bringing them to lunch, is I want them to experience it with the club.
Yeah, exactly. Well, both of you, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate your time, and congratulations to you, not only president, but everything else you're doing. Outstanding. You're setting a great example for everybody.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
Richard, again, thank you very much for what you do. High school wouldn't be the same without you, definitely so, and nor would that program. That's setting
Thank
up a
you.
lot of nice, great leaders for
I
the
appreciate
future.
that. I hope so.
Okay. And with that, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. Take a look at Interact. See if your high school has one. Have people get involved with it, because that is one area where we as Rotarians can make a difference in the world. With that, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.